Welcome back, Space Cases. Space Cadet here. Today in our continuing series, Are We There Yet?, we're going to be covering Standard Year 600 to Standard Year 960. So let's get to it. Mr. Whizbang, roll the intro. Standard Year 600. Construction begins on a joint EF-CDF base on the southern pole of NISA. The base is identical to the one created on the northern pole. The cost of further para-terraforming efforts is prohibitive to private enterprise. The population of Lemuria, city of Reese, tops 2 billion, making it the first megacity, filled with the highest density of assholes in all of human-occupied space. The Citadel, an enormous EF outpost built into a moon orbiting the small gas giant Avalon on the outreaches of the Lemurian system, is completed. Eventually, the base and the moon become synonymous. All branches of the EF provide support to the Citadel. LEF-COG headquarters is moved here. New EF research into deep space travel and propulsion systems begins to improve interstellar travel. Since we've been chugging around space for the past 600 years, they figured it was time to maybe try and make it less shitty. Standard Year 630. The EF base on the northern pole of NISA is completed. The EF names the base the Northern Spire. Partly because it's on the northern pole, partly because it's a spire, and partly because the Department of Clever Names is still 600 years from being created. The Vanguard shipyard is completed. Standard Year 650. LFCOG begins preparations to travel to the Atlantean system. Plans for the prototype of a second generation of colony ship are initiated. They are designated by the prefix acronym CS2. Staging grounds for the expedition are developed along the equator of the far side of NISA. Standard Year 700. The southern spire on NISA is completed. Work begins on enhancing the magnetosphere. I bet you'll never guess why it's called the Southern Spire. Standard Year 750. Let's talk about demographics. No changes to life expectancy from Standard Year 500, but people are now able to be miserable right up until their death. Lemuria has a population of around 5 billion, Amphitryon around 2 billion, and Vanguard around 200,000, including shipyard personnel. NISA has a population of roughly 120,000, composed of 75,000 EF personnel, 25,000 CDF personnel, and 20 civilian personnel. The Citadel has a population of around 20,000, and the CS Beta has a population of 100,000. Technology. In addition to the first generation combat-ready starships, a second generation of colony ships and private starships prepare to enter production. Vanguard and NISA spaceports are connected via a space elevator to their respective planets. Music selection in the space elevator is reported to induce madness in several passengers. Standard Year 800. The Vanguard shipyard is retrofitted to allow the production of colony ships that can hold 20,000 personnel. LEF-COG orders 10 CS2 ships built for the trip to the Atlantean system. The means and know-how to make the initial, much larger ships had been completely lost, because we took them apart and no one thought to take any pictures beforehand. EFRD perfects an engine twice as fast as current propulsion technology. It is capable of travel at 1/10 the speed of light, or roughly the same speed all your dreams die. The artificial magnetosphere on Nyssa reduces the effects of the radiation from Nirvana's deadly radiation belts. Latent radioisotopes span the ice and water below, but engineers work to clean habitable sites and shield para-terraforming efforts against radiation. Since making the dangerous planet habitable is far more important than improving the lives of citizens on the other habitable planets we've settled so far. Standard Year 810. CS Beta, launched in Standard Year 455, reaches Mayu. The 3,000 EF personnel awaken from stasis. No one knows this except for them, so we're just taking their word for it. 1,500 travel to the surface of the planet and begin para-terraforming efforts. 500 are designated with piloting and maintaining the ship. The last 1,000 are charged with operations, including making contact with the LEF-COG Actual at the Citadel. Initial attempts to make a collect call were abandoned after the Citadel refused to accept the charges. The EF's initial archaeological endeavors reveals that the planet is the homeworld of the Stygians, the enigmatic race that apparently created the large floating dormant gates. At least that's the story we eventually learn after much crafting and spin by the GOL. Epitaph is discovered to have a thinner atmosphere than Mayu, and shows signs of previous colonization by both Stygians and Mazukai. It is named Epitaph after a series of Stygian tombs are discovered. There are no signs of remains, but scientists are sure those are tombs and not just freestanding closets. 20 EF patrol ships and 5 cruisers are sent from the Lemurian system to Mayu to support the colony there. It will take them 150 years to reach the system, because, we have those to spare. Standard Year 815. CS Beta is cannibalized and 3 large biodomes are set up on Mayu for colonization. The remainder of the civilian personnel are awoken from stasis. Many of those who had protested being drafted for the colonization effort die in an apparent accidental breach caused by a defective seal on their stasis pods. The GOL-appointed governor also perishes in the accident. Defective seals. Hundreds of them. So tragic. The admiral in charge of the EF operations becomes the governor. Given information travels at the speed of light, it would take over 35 years for the GOL to make a decision and send it back to Mayu. The citizenry agree to allow the EF to remain in control. They agree because the EF have all the guns, are dedicated to protecting the citizens. Unlike other colonies, the large civilian population is called on to support colonization efforts. The colony, perpetually on the brink of being frozen in space, serves as a testament of the ability of humans to thrive, despite the best efforts of the government to help. The EF works to increase breathable oxygen in the atmosphere, again realizing that oxygen is required for the survival of future wage slaves. Standard Year 820. The EF launches an expedition to the Atlantean system, a trip that would take approximately 200 years. 10 CS2 ships and a fleet of 20 patrol ships and cruisers, like those sent to Mayu, will travel to the 2 habitable planets in the system. While there are enough volunteers, there is not enough genetic diversity among them, and a secret draft is conducted on Lemuria. It really wasn't a secret. Everybody knew it was going to happen. Standard Year 850. Another wave of unrest ripples through the colonies, and the CCA works diligently to put down dissidents, like the vicious dogs that they are. Standard Year 900. Vanger continues to normalize. In another 300 years, it will be completely terraformed. It will still be a shithole, but it will be a terraformed shithole, the first of its kind in human space. Citizens now use oxygen masks to transit outside. New homes are built on the surface, though they are airtight, and oxygen scrubbers are available only for the extremely wealthy, because the wealthy want to live in a place that they might die because of a bad seal. The sky of Vanger is perpetually starlit and black, as Hellions' rays barely reach it. The luminescence of nearby Elysia gives a soft glow to the available light. It sounds romantic. EFRD develops a sustainable 5-to-1 drive, 1/5 the speed of light, or roughly the same speed at which stasis pod seals fail. Permanent structures are built into the ground on Mayu, akin to the structures on Vanger. Effectively a house and a tomb all at once, to save time digging mass graves later should there be any uprisings. Standard year 960. The fleet of warships sent from Lemuria arrives in Mayu. The EF uses the ships to establish an outpost on Epitaph. Efforts are made to introduce bulk quantities of nitrogen into the atmosphere on Epitaph to increase sea level atmospheric pressure to habitable levels, because establishing a settlement on what appears to be another culture's burial ground is always a good idea. The EF collects ice from the asteroid field, named the Ossuary, and brings large quantities of water to the surface of Mayu and Epitaph. Shave ice stands are established all over the planet, but business is slow. A second outpost, Citadel Station Fortitude, is established orbiting Eulogy. The coniferous trees developed on Vanger and planted on Mayu are also populated on Epitaph. Within a century, a wild forest will grow. The magnetosphere technology used on Nyssa is replicated on Epitaph to shield it from the radiation emitted by Eulogy. Large solar arrays placed at the moon's poles, inspired by the dormant Stygian technology, are used to power it. An extension cord was originally employed, but ice mining ships kept tripping over it and unplugging the planet. That's it for this episode, Space Cases. Only 3,150 some odd years to go. Will the government stop buying crappy stasis pod seals? What clever name will the next Department of Oppression have? Keep tuning in as we explore the mystery that is our history. Until next time, it's a cold universe out there, Space Cases. So stay warm and keep your zap gun handy. This is the Space Cadet, signing off.